His Excellency the Papal Nuncio and other members of the Diplomatic Corps, Secretary Romulo and other public officials of the Philippine government, friends in the private sector, ladies and gentlemen. 111 years after our heroes proclaimed political freedom for our nation, today we call upon our nation's sense of community and solidarity to gain freedom from economic deprivation as the world faces an economic crisis. No nation is isolated from the impact of the global crisis, but some are faring relatively better than others. The Philippines is blessed to be among the more resilient ones. In the first quarter of this year, our GNP grew at 4.4%, while many in the region and in the world experienced negative growth. This is because we took the bitter pill of economic reform years ago. We raised revenues at great political cost. We invested these new revenues heavily in long overdue physical and human infrastructure. We worked hard to bring increasing balance to our national economy. By pumping more money on infrastructure and welfare, we expanded our domestic demand and decreased our reliance on exports. Our export to GDP ratio is now 28.5% compared to 49% in the year 2000. We diversified our trading partners. For instance, this meant increasing our trade relations with China and the Middle East. We concluded bilateral discussions with various countries hosting overseas workers. This helped open up new job opportunities for our hardworking Filipino workers in diversified fields. At the same time, we worked to build up new industries such as business process outsourcing. Today, the Philippines is a global powerhouse in this industry. Our share of the BPO industry has risen from virtually zero a decade ago to 15% today, the number 2 spot. We also work to develop other sectors such as responsible mining. I do not want to diminish the pain and disruption of the current global contagion on our region, on the world, or on our respective economies. It hurts, and the poorest among us are hurt the most. But amidst the dark clouds of the global economic crisis are silver linings that will redound to our benefit. Not the least of these is the increasing acknowledgement that all nations and regions of the world must now take a place at the table. We need to make the G20 or even a G30 become the norm. We must not revert to simply viewing the world through the eyes of the G7. There are tentative signs of recovery in some of the biggest international markets. In the US, there are signs of improvements in consumer spending and consumer confidence. There is greater stability in the financial sector. Manufacturing contracted at a slower rate. Dow Jones and S&P are at their highest levels in months. The prognosis from American economists about US recovery starting sometime between July and next month further buttresses recovery expectations. In China, manufacturing is stabilizing. Housing and auto sales are growing. Imports of iron ore and other raw materials are likewise turning around in that very important economy. In Korea, which hosted the recent ASEAN plus Korea summit, the economic slowdown moderated significantly in April. This encouraged the Bank of Korea to leave the benchmark interest rates for a second straight month. In emerging economies, the demand for commodities is up. Hopefully, all these represent the beginning of a rebound in the global economy. To the business community, domestic and international, our message is, for growth even through the global crisis, invest in the Philippines. At the same time, government is undertaking measures to curb inflation and help sectors that are squeezed by rising prices in anticipation of oil and other price hikes as the world recession turns into recovery. But we are confident we will manage whatever inflationary pressures may come our way because our administration has had a track record of being able to keep inflation down to an unprecedented 2.8% annual average. We will continue to focus here at home on creating jobs and keeping prices low. The government will provide incentives to help the private sector to keep and create jobs. The government will also continue to come to the rescue of the poorest among us with targeted subsidies of food, fuel, and rice. They say it's too early to bring out the champagne. But on the occasion of our 111th anniversary of nationhood, I ask everyone to join me in a toast of well wishes to the global economy, in a toast to the role of all nations and regions of the world in the global rebound, in a toast to all of us as we meet the challenges to our way of life on the path of peace and prosperity. Mabuhay!